Testing audio. Hopefully this should be fine. If you guys can hear me, well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all the people who try to watch from different parts, right? Welcome to another live Q&A. Let me just make sure I turn on the settings quickly. All right, so yeah, hi everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is a Q&A session. Usually this is a session where I try to talk and try to address some of the comments or questions that you have that I haven't answered on the YouTube comments. I do not check my YouTube comments pretty often, so hence I try to come live at least once a week. Here you have an opportunity to either talk to me directly, right? You can ask questions in the chat box, or if you want to discuss a particular topic, you can post them and I'll try my best to discuss them. Okay. Kapil here says, hey, what's up? Nothing much, just another Q&A session. So yeah, please post your questions and questions, concerns, anything that you have in the chat box. By the way, Amazon has recently released a new feature on Amazon SNS, Simple Notification Service, that essentially gives you an ability to block PII data. So it's pretty cool. You should check it out. It's very recently released. Voice is coming and going. All right, let's see what's going on. Hopefully that's better. All right, guys. So if you guys have any questions, anything that you want to talk about, I think this is a pretty good time where you can post your questions. I'm pretty sure a lot of people my audience who are from US, they must be, it's Sunday, so I'm assuming they're relaxing. In India, it's evening, so I'm assuming people from India would connect pretty often. So, yep. All right, perfect. We have Arun says, voice is clear. That's great, Arun. Thank you so much. Yeah, if you guys want to talk or discuss any topic in general, or if you want to talk about, anything that you want to talk about, feel free to post them in the comment section below. Yesterday, actually, I was trying with some automation on Amazon using step functions. So essentially, I was trying to automate Athena CTAS query, and I spent like 4 or 5 hours in the morning. Then I got tired and I just left it because with step functions, it's easy, but it becomes tricky when you're trying to do SQL queries and stuff. The quotes and the escape characters, they essentially possess a problem. Let me see this camera. All right, hopefully this is better. But yeah, if you want to talk about any stuff, feel free to, yeah. Expiry Trader says, thank you so much for sharing time management. Yep, no problem at all. As I keep saying, right, having a schedule helps you, right? Yesterday I was watching a movie, right? Every Saturday I watch movie. I was watching Liger. I'm not sure people from India will know which movie I'm talking about. I watched Liger. It's a very nice movie. So I have like schedule for every single thing, so that I don't get burnt out. Yesterday, I also ordered dum aloo biryani from restaurant. Had some nice food with dahi or yogurt, whatever you want to call, and I was watching movie. It's equally important to relax as well, right? So have schedule and do point one every single day, as I keep saying, right? Yeah, I enjoy. I also watch movies, right? I don't just always program, right, 24/7, right? A couple of other movies that I watch was this one, very nice movie, I would say. Rocketry, Nambi. Very nice movie. It's a movie based on true story on a young rocket scientist who went to London. I think he studied in Imperial College, or was it? I forgot the name, but it's a very nice movie. So yeah, some couple of nice movies. Then I was watching a series on criminal justice. Very nice again. What else? So in short, what I'm trying to say is, make sure you have a well balanced between everything, right? Just programming will burn you out, right? So make sure you essentially create schedules, right, for everything. Yeah, Brahmastra, I'm gonna watch maybe probably next week, not this week. So that is on my to-do in the next week. Yeah, so usually my Saturday mornings are on learning, and Sunday mornings are maybe either Q&A or I'm implementing some POC or I'm trying to learn something. So that's usually I do on Sundays, and then I spend time on cooking, so on. All right, if you guys have any feature request for a video, or if you want me to make a video on a particular topic, we'll be happy to do so. So let me know in the comment section below. Couple says, how do you manage your task? How do you use any specific program for it? Well, to be honest, no. All I need is a piece of paper and a pen. I write all the items that I think I want to do in a particular day, and then I assign points to that, and then the highest priority goes up, the lowest priority goes down, and in between those tasks I manage my breaks, and so that is essentially how I do it. I don't need all these fancy whatever. All I need is a piece of paper and points. That's it. Emmanuel says, when and how did you start programming? Well, as you know, I was not a software engineer. I came here in the year 2017, and I did my master's in electrical engineering. Sooner or later, I did realize that jobs are less in electrical, right? So I made a smart decision to change or switch my career into software. From there, I've been learning, putting in a lot of effort every single day. So to answer your question precisely, started the journey from 2017 about software engineering, and today is 2022, and here you see my progress after 18, 19, 21. Yeah, 5 years basically. Kapil says, what about the long-term task planning? Well, yeah, of course. Well, I manage everything in Excel. Of course, I manage my financial goals, my career goals, and my learning goals, everything, right, in an Excel sheet, and I essentially put down all the points that I want to do. For example, I want to have X amount of money, right? For example, I want to learn ABC by the end of the year. I want to be the best in ABC, right? So having those goals, it's called, like, if you guys are from you know what I'm saying, like, it's called epic, right? That's an epic. Then you essentially have a task, right? Epic is a big project, right? Task is essentially your goal or your journey to go essentially to that epic, right? So that's how I manage, man. So I create epics and then essentially tasks, which essentially help me to navigate to that destination or that goal, right? Malik Singh says, you have some good videos about data handling around AWS. Do you plan to release or record any full-length courses, something which can explain all the data related services and their use put together? I think it's a great question, Malik. Yes, I know I have a lot of content on data, and that's because if you see on my LinkedIn, my job title is essentially data engineer team lead, right? So I think pretty sure I could release a video on data which can cover all these things on a high level, a summary video, and if needed, I could go into detail. For example, on a high level, it's like Glue, right? Athena, right? For ETL, storage S3, right? For processing Lambdas SQS, right? Kinesis for real time. I think I could make a summary video for that for sure. Emmanuel says, are you married? If yes, how did the dynamics of your job change, and how did you manage it? I'm not married currently, and how did the dynamics of your job change, and how did you manage it? So since I'm not married, I wouldn't be able to answer that, but I know once you get married, you have another part in your life, right, which also needs time, right? So as I said, right, having time management would really help, because as a software engineer, I know that we spend a lot of time on the computers, right? And if you do not give time to your family or your loved ones, they're gonna get mad and they're gonna leave you, right? So it is equally, as I said, right, when you have family and everything needs time, right? Everyone needs time. So but you only have 24 hours of day, right? So which is why I say planning time really helps. Time management essentially is very important. I hope I answered that question. Sachin here says, hey, hello Sachin. So for everything, I have goals. Even for marriage, right? I have goals as I was explaining, right? By 30, I want to get married, right? Because I have certain goals that I need to meet before that. I want to be stable. I want to be independent, right? So those goals are important, and I am working towards getting towards that goal. So epics are already there. The task has already been created, so I'm working on those tasks. I hope, Emmanuel, that answers your questions. How would you explain data deduping? If I was asked on a theory, I would say the art of removing duplicate data is called data deduping, right? I would say that, right? A simple way would be creating hash, right? Essentially create hash on a row level, right? And then essentially select a unique item on the hash, right? That's one way. Now, luckily, Amazon has a ML version which allows you to, for example, Saumil Shah, Saumil Nitin Shah, they both are the same person, right? But the dedupe has to be different here, right? That's when the ML flavor comes into place, right? So Glue has something called, I guess it's called ML matching, which allows you to remove duplicate. But again, that adds a cost aspect to it, right? When you do these items at a scale, right? There is a cost aspect, right? So yeah, hope that helps you, Emmanuel, to answer your question. Please ask me questions. I'm always happy to answer your questions, whether related to software or not related to software, or in general, if you want to talk about a concept or a topic, more than happy to discuss that. Manish here says, hello, brother. Hey, Manish. Good. How are you, man? Emmanuel says, I think you should work with Amazon since you know a lot about AWS. Uh, let me think if I want to speak about that topic first. No, it can get me into trouble. Emmanuel, I would like to skip your question. Please do not mind. The reason I'm skipping is because a lot of people from my work are also subscribed to my channel. Uh, I I would like to play safe on that question, so I would like to skip your question, and I'm very sorry about that. Because I don't want to do something that can get me into trouble, right? So I decided to skip your question, and apologies for that. Hi Manish, my day is good, man. Expiry trader means as you manage your team, how was your experience as individual contributed and lead? Yeah, that's a great question. So first thing, I'm not those sort of a toxic manager, right? Who says, "Hey, did you do the work? Hey, show me what you did. Hey, I'm a very relaxed, calm person, right? And if needed, you can ask my team. You can go and search on LinkedIn and ask them. The way I ask them is, okay, first of all, I build a trust between me and my team, right? So I'm able to trust them at times, and they are able to trust me at times. For example, it was a couple of weeks back. They said, I think it was Ganesh Chaturthi back in India, and there was a lot of festivals as well, Independence Day, Raksha Bandhan. So they said, hey, Saumil, I want to take this day off, and so it will be like 6 7 days off. I said, sure, okay. Because I'm not like, hey, why do you need a vacation? Why? No, you want a holiday, go and just relax. And they can come and say, hey, I don't feel like working today. Can I take a day off? And it's okay, right? Uh, so as I said, I'm not those one of those toxic lead, like, who's always constantly poking their team. Hey, did you do the work? Hey, did you do this? Did you do that? I don't do that. I trust my team and they trust me. so I can rely on them and they can rely on me, me basically, right? At times when I need it, right? I also spend a lot of time with them, and you can ask them. I have done a lot of learning sessions, tutorials with them. My team was pretty new in cloud at that time, but now they are a beast. They are a beast. I spent, I guess, I don't know, like every week, like, at least 1-2 hours of learning session. They have done a lot of LinkedIn learning, plural site. They have learned. So now they are confident in the skill, in the area of Lambda, SQS, Kinesis, Dynamo, Glue. Those are their areas of, they have worked on, right? So now if there's anything, I just have to explain them on a high level, on an architecture. Hey, okay, this is a project. Yeah, we can design, do this, A, B, C, and we just have some Q&A, and that's pretty much it. So as I said, right, being a lead, trust your team. Trusting a team is important, right? And give them the flexibility, and don't poke people. Hey, did you do this? Hey, what about this? What about that? Trust them. I know, because I have told them, when you run into problems or issue, come to me and ask me for help. So that relation and that trust is there. So I hope that answers your question, right? Manish says, just a question: if you have 500 business analytics user and you want to build a data lake, what is your approach in AWS? 500 business user. So, okay, I see what okay. So the first thing that I would do is, first of all, I would move the data, Manish, into S3. Okay. After doing that, Manish, here is what I will do. I will essentially have a job that is essentially Athena CTAS, right? So from S3, actually I can share an architecture with you. I was reading, so let me open up. Give me 1 sec, Manish. All right, let's see. So let's call this Manish. Okay, so your question here, right? We'll write it down here. Where did that go? Okay, if I right, so on a high level, you have your producers that are gonna produce messages or essentially data, right? You'll have all your producers, right? Now what you want to do is, the first place that you want your data to land is the S3. So all your data should land on the S3 bucket. This would be called your raw bucket, which will have duplicates, unclean data. Right now, from there, what you want to do is, so we'll run essentially a glue crawler here. Again, this is a glue crawler. Is this crawler? What is the symbol of crawler? Whatever. Okay, so we'll say, so what you want to do is, you want to create a catalog now. This is where the schema would be identified. So you'll run a glue crawler. This will essentially populate your schema. Now you can do ETL using Glue or Athena. I prefer Athena because it's cheap, right? So I'll essentially able to run Athena to essentially understand the ad hoc queries. Now I need to now build analytics, right? So now what I'm gonna do is, I say again, I'm gonna clean the data, remove duplicates. So this is where I'll use Athena CTAS, right? So I'll use Athena CTAS here, right? Okay, so I'll use Athena CTAS here, and all those data would essentially land into a transform zone, where these are like Parquet files, duplicates are removed, transform zone, right? Now, if needed, your users can run basic. So now your user can say, Athena over here. This is where your BI users would use, but again, the cost will drive up pretty soon. So now what you want to do is, on QuickSight, when you connect QuickSight here, you want to tell your user that load the data into Spice. So you would load the data into Spice, and you will set up a refresh interval, right? And then essentially your 500 users will essentially have their account on QuickSight, and they will be able to build dashboard and reports, right? Or alternatively, I would say put a Redshift here, right? So once you have it in S3, you can even load it into a Redshift. So you can say Redshift, sorry for the spelling mistake. You can load into Redshift. You can do something called Redshift copy command. All you need is, so you can load into Redshift, and then you can also connect your QuickSight. So the main idea here is to have your data in a lake in an S3. And if you observe, I'll just show you really quick on my GitHub. I did a video on Redshift in the past. I'll pretty quickly show you. So you can use a Redshift copy command, and that will essentially bring the data for free of cost. So copy employee from S3 credential, access key, and then the file format. This will load all the data into Redshift. So Redshift copy command is a native way to bring data from lakes to your But yeah, something like that. That is something you're looking at. Hopefully that helps. Let's see. We have a question from Emmanuel. I'll essentially try to sync up on all the questions here. So I'm gonna read this question now. Do you ever get tired on or burnt out from software engineering work? Well, yes, I'm a human being, and which is why I said, right, I try watching YouTube videos, right? I go watch movies. I take breaks often, right? Before this, I was discussing about all the movies that I watch, right? So taking break is important, right? I hope that helps. Vaibhav Shinde says, any course recommended on LinkedIn Learning? Well, there are like topics on LinkedIn, for example, fundamental cloud concepts, right? Those will essentially are just kind of theory part. They're not going to give you any practical touch. So I say, try to, Vaibhav, try to go take a topic like S3, Lambda, and then try to do some labs on that. That's the way you will learn stuff, right? Manish says, and if you want to have a petabyte of data, you want to do a real-time data into S3, yeah, same thing. The same pipeline will work, right? I don't see a reason why it wouldn't work. Petabyte, gigabyte, exabyte, right? Any amount of data you can handle. In my company, we are managing about 11 terabyte of data, and this will easily go for petabyte, exabyte, whatever your data amount is, right? It doesn't matter, right? This architecture is the standard approach that you want to use for your analytics, right? Should you go with Hoodie? I don't know what Hoodie is, so I'm not sure I'll be able to answer that. How do you put S3 row bucket using DMS? I don't use DMS. We usually write jobs, right? And we essentially flatten out the data. So I won't be able to answer your questions on DMS. How about RDS? RDS, S3 row buckets, glue, ETL, and Hoodie table? Again, I don't know exactly about the Hoodie. Glue, I wouldn't recommend because for the cost, right? So if you run glue ETL, you'll soon see dollars popping in, right? In my company, we saw a massive cost. I don't want to name how much, right? But which is why we moved from glue jobs to Athena CETAs. Okay, so hope that helps. 500 user will cost a lot of money in QuickSight. Well, yes, it is gonna cost you money. Everything has a cost on cloud, right? Because you can scale, you can search across that amount of data, right? So there will be a cost of it. But if you wanna avoid that cost and load that data into Elasticsearch and use Kibana to visualize your data on basically a search engine. So there is gonna be cost. So don't worry. Even for S3, for Athena, for all that data, you're gonna pay money. So it's not free. But this is not real-time data analytics. Who said that, right? Well, your glue crawlers, they are running on that, right? And you can essentially, if needed, perform a streams, right? Dump data to Kinesis data stream to Firos to S3, perform real-time analytics using Kinesis data analytics, right? You can write, Flink, you can use Apache Flink to perform analytics there, right? So the long story short, the concept remains the same. Data lands in the S3, that's your landing zone, lake essentially. And for visualizing, you use if you're using Kinesis, you use, for real-time visualization, you can either use AWS, Apache Flink on AWS Kinesis data analytics. And if you're using glue jobs, you can use glue streaming jobs, right? That could essentially perform ETL on streaming data, right? Again, all that is going to cost money, right? So nothing is going to come cheap at all. So yeah. Just do the research into hoodie. It is a good. We are using it actively. Absolutely. After this video, I'll take a look at hoodie for sure. Manish says you will run after 2 or 4 hours, any interval. So how is it real time? Well, see, you are using Kinesis data stream, right? That is real time. You gotta define what is real time. Real time to me is data that essentially can get into an interval within a minute. That is real time to me, for my definition. So if you're using Kinesis data stream, and again, I used a generic term there called producers, right? If you observe my screen here, again, this is one way to do it, right? Another way, if you're gonna go for stream approach, let me see if I can. Yeah, if you're going for key streams, you use this one, you'll use this architecture over here. So basically, yeah. So here, so that's gonna be your stack here for real-time streams. So Kinesis here, right? And then you can use Kinesis analytics here to essentially perform real-time data analytics on the streaming data, right? So that's essentially a stream. Either you go with this approach or you go with this approach. Either way depends upon your use case, right? So let me share my screen. Manish says, I'll share one doc with you, take a look at it. Absolutely, man. Yeah, send it over to me. More than happy to take a look at it, man. I'll be right back. I'm just gonna get some tea, so be right back in a second. All right, I'm back. All right. Any more questions that we can answer today? Yeah, for real-time stream is basically the same thing. Either Kafka, same stuff, man. Kafka, Kinesis, whatever that is, into Firehose, or then Kinesis Analytics, use Apache Flink, same thing. So. Sure, go for it. I have time, and you can ask me as many questions as you have. That's great. You are interested in making a career in cloud. That's amazing. Yeah, I think you are in the right direction. Cloud is the future, so I think you made the right choice. Should I go with some AWS certification? It's a controversial topic. I would say depends upon your use case. I personally am not a fan of certification. Those certificate cost like $200, and then after a while it becomes invalid, right? So I'm not a fan. I personally prefer YouTube, LinkedIn Learning, Pluralsight. That's what I do. And blogs, Stack Overflow. That's my area to learn stuff and read. So I wouldn't spend $200 on a certificate. I would rather buy 20 courses, right, with that $200. So that's my point of view, because I can learn 20 things in the same money, right? All right, any other questions we have? We have again questions. After getting a job, it is just piece of paper. Yeah, basically, yeah, that's correct. It's I mean, it's just a piece of paper at the end of the day. So it is your skills and knowledge, how you can apply your skills and knowledge on to make to essentially solve problems, right? So those papers are useless. I mean, if you know how to apply skills and if you can solve problems, that is all you need. All right, guys. Any other questions that we have? How about this? I'm thinking. Let me think before. So how about this? If anybody wants to talk to me right now, uh, I'll actually call them through my phone and we can actually talk. But condition applied, those conversation will be streamed real time. So if you wanna talk to me, if you're in India or US, I can call you right now. And if you wanna speak to me right now, you can send me an email with your phone number. So that is my email address I put in the chat. If you want to talk to me right now, send me an email quick, send me your phone number. If you're in India or US, I can call you right now and we can have a conversation. Conditions applied, that call is going to be streamed live on the YouTube, okay? So I'm going to check my email, and if you guys have called, let's try to do, let's try to do this. So I'm going to give you guys a call. So send me your mobile phone number in India, if you're in India, or if you want to talk to me right now. If you are in the US and if you want to speak to me over the phone, feel free to send me an email, and then I'll give you a call in like 5 minutes. Yeah. All right. Meanwhile, if you guys have any other questions, happy to answer the questions. Yeah, if you guys, or if anybody who's watching live, I'm not sure who is watching, but if you guys want to talk to me over the phone live, conditions applied, I'll call you, but that call would be streamed on the YouTube right now, okay? You can talk to me, you can ask questions live, right? Provided you have the conversation within 10 to 15 minutes of span is, so I can provide 10 minutes, we can talk on the phone, send me your phone number, and then I can call you right now. Or if you guys have any questions, mail ID is wrong. What did you provide? Hold on. Shah Somil. Oh, it's 519. Sorry, 519, not 619. I did not see that. Let me change. Oops. Wait, what happened? Hold on. It is 519. Sorry, my bad. shahsumil519@gmail.com. Yeah, send me your phone number and I can call you guys. That would be fun, I guess, right? And otherwise, if you have any questions that you want to ask, and remember, this is an amazing opportunity because you can ask me live questions on the phone call. Within the span of 10 minutes, you can ask me for advices, and if you wanna. All right, we have a phone number from Manish, and we're gonna call Manish right now. So give me 1 sec while I take a note of that number first of all. Okay, the number is. Okay, so I'm gonna call Manish. Let me adjust my microphone here. We'll try to keep on the speaker. Okay, so the number is 9696489. I hope this is the right number that you gave me. I'm calling and the phone is on speaker. Let's see if I can. If anybody wants to talk to me on the phone, the email address is given. Send me your phone number.
Hello.
Hey Manish, how are you doing, man? Hello?
Hello, brother.
Hey man, how are you, Manish? How are you doing?
Oh, there is a bit of lag on, bit of difference on YouTube and me.
Yeah, the YouTube is a bit delayed. I know. There's a delay of like a minute or two. How's everything, man?
I'm feeling good. You left the India. Oh, that is good.
Nice. So yeah, if you have any questions that you want to ask me, we are live on YouTube. More than happy to talk or discuss about all your questions on the YouTube. So feel free to ask me, man.
Yeah. My question is like I already asked you. Like let's suppose that we have a petabyte of data and we want to do analysis on a real time. That's the same question that I asked you. So how did you approach an AWS?
Sure.
Thinking is I have already developed box. So I will get the data from RDS using DMS.
Okay.
There is no bucket, so DMS will produce the data like after every 1 minute. So we will get the data.
Okay.
And then those data are processed into the glue after every 1 hour.
So
And
that
I'm using Hoodie. You don't have any idea about Hoodie? Hoodie is like incremental process. We have the data. The new data is added into the same table, like incremental approach.
understood. Yeah, got it. So the petabyte scale that you just said, is that basically over a month, over a day, or could you tell me how much data do you get in 1 hour, or like uh, what is the total capacity that you get for the data?
I think so. It is like, you can say that every month we produce 2 petabyte of data, raw data.
Is that every day?
Like,
Every day you get 2 petabyte?
every month, every month.
Every month? Okay,
every
got
month.
it. Okay, makes sense. And what are you guys trying to do? Are you trying to do like analytics on that, or you want to do visualization, right?
Yes. We want to create dashboard, stuff, these kind of things.
And is the use case more that you want to analyze the data as it comes in, or over a week? What is the refresh interval of the data that you want on the dashboards?
We can take like almost 1 hour of a day, like let's suppose that we have got one customer. So after 1 hour, the data should be shown in the data lake, and we
Understood.
can see the number growing in our dashboard.
Okay,
I
that
hope you got my point.
okay. Yeah, I got your point. So I think if you are either using DMS or whatever mechanism you use to bring in data, bringing in data, right? But once you have those data on S3, are you guys using any sort of transformation currently? Maybe Glue or CTAS? So what I'm saying is when the data comes
By
in,
using Glue,
okay,
okay. The data comes in a form in that first it will got the entire data, entire load. Then every time a new record is inserted into the RDS, so DMS will create a small file.
I see.
Small file like the DMS will tell that if it is in like update, insert, or delete with the parameter. For that, we will run a good job and will read all those files that is generated via DMS.
Got it.
And we'll process those files and we'll add into our main table, which is Hoodie.
Okay, with this Hoodie stuff, right?
Yeah, it is Hoodie stuff. I think so. For me, you have to do a little research on this Hoodie. Hoodie is very popular. I think so. How do you not know this thing?
Yeah, I'm not sure. We did not use Hoodie much. We did not use Hoodie.
Okay, don't worry. No, there are a lot of technology nowadays.
Yeah, you can't keep up, right, with everything.
Yeah, correct. You tell some of the names like Constraint. I'm not sure. I haven't used it. But
Yeah. So
it is like real time.
let me explain you. So if you need, when I say the word real time, as data comes in from your DMS or any other services, if you need to analyze that, right, you can dump that data instead of S3 into Kinesis data stream, right? And from that data stream, you can connect Kinesis Firehose. The Firehose will deliver the data to S3. And if you need within that time period, right, want to analyze it near real time, right, you can use something called Apache Flink on Kinesis Data Analytics and perform real-time analytics on your streaming data. Now again, this will cost you money. It's not going to come cheap, right? So one cheaper way that I could recommend would be get the data into S3, okay? Once you have the data into AWS S3, now convert that basically data into Parquet file. And why? Because you can get up to 60% savings on both the total size of the files and also the performance on Athena. So what this job will do, say you have like 10 files, right? This will aggregate those 10 files into one file. So that means Athena will essentially work much more faster on the data that you have, right? And then the Parquet file format, since it's a compression, let's say 30 GB will be converted into like a 10 GB. So now when you run your Athena, your cost would be much more lowered. So you will see like approximately 40 to 50% savings on the cost itself. Now, if you need to analyze that data near real time, you can schedule your Glue crawler on an interval, maybe 5 minutes, 1 hour day. Again, there is a cost aspect to this as well. So depending what the use cases, you can either go with A, the kinesis part, or B, using the one that I just said. Does that help you a little bit?
The voice is breaking. Somewhere your voice is breaking.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Last time I couldn't get it. What was your last sentence?
I was saying either you can opt in for S3, right? S3, and then using glue crawlers to crawl over your data on a schedule, on an interval, maybe 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever that is, and then query your data that is coming in through Athena, right? And if needed, you could build a dashboard using QuickSight and having basically Spice on there. So basically, QuickSight will essentially use Spice, so all your data will be loaded into Spice, and then your users are gonna build your dashboards on QuickSight.
Got it. But it will cost a lot of money. Kinesis will cost a lot of money.
Everything, I mean, is gonna cost money. Like, cloud doesn't come cheap, right? So there will be a cost, but that's what we call that as an operational cost, right? I mean, the company generates revenue, and then of course these are all operational costs, because as data grows, as volume grows, you need the ability to use cloud to essentially query the data, right, and make insight out of it, right? That's where the cloud comes in, right? And of course, as I said, right, with great power comes great responsibility. So there is a cost to all these services as well, right?
Okay. One more thing, Saumil.
Sure.
Have you used the Glue dev point, which is called as notebook?
Yes, I know. I'm aware about that. I recently started exploring, so that is essentially used for more exploratory purposes. So say you wanna basically, let's say you wanna extract a year or a month out of a string date, right? Or say you wanna just see how the data is coming in, right? So if you wanna create like a data frame, and if you wanna transform the data frame, if you wanna aggregate. So for exploratory purposes, you can use Glue Notebook. So you can write your code in the notebook, you can run the notebook, and then you can take the code and essentially make it as a job. Does that help you a little bit?
No, I have just tried for testing purposes, but it costs a lot of money. I'm not aware of that. They will charge for idle time. Let me tell you one thing. If you don't stop that terminate that, it is just like Jupyter notebook.
Oh yeah, it's gonna cost you money because they are giving you servers, right?
I can tell you that it is like 5 gig cost for 2 months and 3 jobs is running.
Yeah, I get it. So yeah, that's why I said, right? So you want to terminate things when it's not needed, right? Otherwise they're gonna charge you because.
We don't think usually I use in my local, I just run it and never just close that tab, and I just close that tab, and I just have to be one day I was having a fun problem in data frame.
Okay.
I want to extract only 2 columns. I want to do something on 1 column.
Okay.
And it just cost it a 12 digit. I know. But I did got a lot of difference from Amazon, but it's good. Amazon have very good philosophy, I think so.
Yeah, I mean.
They don't want to charge you if you don't use it. They only charge you if you use it.
That's the part, right? Yeah. That's right. That's right. Yeah. Well, now you have my number, so we can stay in connected. And if there's anything, anytime, feel free to contact me, man. I'll try to keep the call since it's 10 minutes. So thank you so much, Manish. It was really nice talking to you.
Yeah, thanks so much, I'll call you, I'll message you something.
All right, Manish.
Thank you so much.
Sounds good, man. Take care.
Nice job. Thank you so much.
You as well, Manish. Take care. Goodbye. All right, so yeah, we, I try my best to, contact and help people, as I said, right? Now let's catch up on the questions. We have some questions here. We have a question from Anirudh. Anirudh says, I want to create an app which launches a VS Code on a web for a particular user, Also, for example, they can run Node.js app. I think what you're referring to, there's a service from Amazon called Cloud9. So Anirudh, you want to look into service called Cloud9, see if that helps you, if that is something that you're looking for. I think that is exactly what you're looking for. So just look into casually into Cloud9. Anirudh says, I can use Docker, but I don't know how to expose those containers on a web for every. Uh, See, that's tricky, right? I don't think that would be a best idea because then people might start misusing that service, right, Anirudh? So I would say use or look into something called Cloud9. First, just casually look into Cloud9. That's what I would say. Emmanuel says, please check the chat for a question you haven't dealt with. Which question? Not sure. Did I miss any question? You can please post your question back. Sorry if I have missed it. Rushikesh Kadam says, hey Somil, good evening. I am having a full stack application. It's based on Angular and Golang. What is a good way to deploy? The most easiest way that I can think you want to deploy is a Docker container, Rushikesh. Just create a simple Docker container, and if needed, you could deploy that. Very easy, bare minimum. You can just spin up a T2 micro, and then you can deploy your application on that. If you need an ability to do a load balancing, then you can deploy the application on ECS, which is a managed container service, right? And then you could do load balancing. Of course, you can add application load balancer, but again, that goes really, really fancy. Simple layman language, I want to say, EC2, deploy your app, that's it. That's the first way, okay? Rushikesh says, I was thinking of Dockerize. What you're thinking is right, first of all. It is using a Docker swarm to load balancing. If it is a good, can you just, I think it's you are on the right track, Rushikesh. That's the way you want to think, right? Dockerizing the app. I wouldn't use a swarm. I would use something called ECS, which will again help you to remove all these manual work. For example, adding node, what if a node leaves, all these stuff. So I would rather just deploy my Docker container on ECS and have AWS worry about the scaling part. Jaya Kishore says how to take DB containers backup. How to take DB container? Not sure. Could you explain me a little bit? Not sure I understand. Anirudh says Jaya Kishore volumes. Okay, were you referring how would you mount the data volume? Then the answer is volume. What Anirudh says. Emmanuel says, what does it mean to run your services in the cloud? Where else can your service be run if not cloud? Well, well, buy an on-prem server, right? Just buy your own laptop or a server on a home, then do all these manual work, which takes forever, software patches, what if a computer restarts, load balancer, download load balancer, all these stuff. So that's called doing it on-prem, right? I wouldn't do that. It's a bad idea because software patches, outrages, right? All these stuff you have to manage, which I don't want to manage. Cloud takes the responsibility of that. So I would rather focus on developing and just hosting it on a cloud. If you're essentially concerned with the cost, I think the best and the easy and a bare minimum way is having it on a T2 micro. So yeah, as I said, right, Anirudh is, yeah, exactly, same thing. Bare metal servers, exactly. Jaya Kishore says, we are hosting an MS SQL database as a container. Need take backup. Are you asking how would you take a backup? Is that the question? If you could please explain that a little bit. Rushikesh says, did you try Dockerize Oracle ODBC driver? If yes, please let me know. I haven't tried in production. We usually, all big companies will go for a managed service, right? SQL Server managed by AWS, right? Ideally, I'm just saying, in my company at least, we don't run databases on Docker. And even if we do adopt to take a database, we will either go something that is provided by cloud, or for warehouse Redshift, for relational database Aurora, right? Then NoSQL, your DynamoDB, the most famous, right? So I haven't done more with Dockerized database in production. We use more managed service or the service that is essentially provided by AWS, right? Manish says, how do you approach new things if you want to learn something new like Android development? How would you go? With courses or with some blogs or docs? The first question I would say I wouldn't, I would not go something way like I have seen one of my close friend who started learning how a compiler is made. I wouldn't waste my time there. I mean, again, maybe important for him, but if I am a backend, I am a cloud, I would rather learn in that particular directory, in that particular channel, right? And how would you learn? The best way is to read. I would, quickly read some articles, blog, a quick starter guide. So by that, usually I have a overall idea about what or how to do that, right? And if needed, then I only go to YouTube because YouTube videos are slow and it takes time. So my first preference is usually articles and documentation. Emmanuel says, any ideas on how to detect spillovers before they occur on your web services? I'm not sure what spillover means. Maybe I have to Google the exact term. So I don't know, as I said. Mani says, how about how to choose any topic and create or crack course? How to? I'm not sure I understood, man. How about choice any topic? Could you rephrase your question maybe, like so I can understand a little better? Yeah, if you guys have any more questions that you want to talk or you want to discuss, I'm happy to talk about, right? Okay, Anirudh says to Rushikesh, companies usually try to Dockerize only. That's correct. What he's saying is absolutely right. Only stateless apps handling database inside container just gives you more head. That's correct. Absolutely. That's very well said. That is correct. I agree with Anirudh. So as I was saying, right, only serverless or backend services talking to database you used either a service that is already managed, right? Ideally you do not do that on the Docker. As you said, right, headaches is the right word. Jai Kishore says, how do you maintain a release management? Don't we use like a GitHub or GitLab? Doesn't that help you to control source? You work on your dev branch or whatever branch and then the ticket name, and then you essentially create a merge request and essentially merge to the main branch, right? Jaya Kishore says we can call it as a release notes. I think that is more related to product management. There is a lot of tools that you can use that essentially tell you what are you trying to. And again, it all depends. If it's a backend, it doesn't really matter. If it's a front end, then yes, right. What was the feature? What does the feature helps the customer to do that? So it's I think this is more like a product management related stuff. How to maintain like a release management. So I'm not sure I'll be the right person to answer your question there. Yeah, I don't choose any topic, man, Manish. I only choose particular topic that is my interest and that is in my field or domain, right? So yeah, what's your plan on Amazon savings plan? Not sure I still understand there. Do you mean like how would you save money? Emmanuel says if any web services is running on my laptop with the internet access for others to use, can I call it an external API? Wait, was that? Can I call a cloud service? To be honest, yes, you can call it because I personally have a laptop that is sitting at my home, which is connected to a LAN cable, and then essentially on noip.com I register a domain name. Through my router, I essentially did my port forwarding so I can access those services through my external domain, and which gets routed to internal to my laptop. So in theory, yes, but there's a lot of headache, as I said, right? But the answer is yes. Rushikesh says, I have application deployed on EC2 instance allowed a specific IP only in a security group. And some external API wants to hit our app. Okay. But as you know, EC2, we can whitelist based on the IP. We can whitelist based on the IP but the external API is a domain. How to allow access for a particular domain? Any solution? Well, see, first, I think what you're referring to is a subnet, right? So not sure if it's a subnet or it's a public facing, right? If it's a public facing, you might have exposed a particular port, right? And through that port, basically, any IP address can talk to that. Now, I think what you are referring to is a specific domain, right? So you can basically whitelist. Again, I'm not a network engineer or not a network engineer expert here. So I think what you can do is you can say ping the domain name, you'll get an IP address, and then you can essentially whitelist the range of those IP address. So for example, 192.168.1 colon star or something like that. And again, I'm not a specific network engineer expert, so I wouldn't be able to provide you exact answer, but I think you should be able to do, or you should be able to whitelist a domain or range of a particular IP address, right? IP sets, right? Vivek Datta here says, hi Somil, my query is that what about the observability and monitoring of serverless application? I know a CloudWatch sometimes is very cumbersome to use. I have tried CloudWatch Insights. Thanks Vivek, first of all, for your question. Ideally, company will use some sort of log monitoring or tools. For example, again, my company uses Datadog, right? So we essentially try to integrate every single application, every single service, every single thing is essentially pulled into Datadog. So we essentially visualize logs, the services, their health, all that is essentially visualized using Datadog. Again, there are a lot of other services that essentially provides you all these facility. But again, if you had to ask me, we use particularly Datadog. Even for Lambdas and all that, right? We essentially log our logs on the Datadog, and then we ask the the sysop guys to build essentially a dashboard, right? So they built dashboard on the matrix that we asked for, right? So I hope that helped, Vivek. And a lot of other companies, they go, if they have the resources, they will go for developing their custom stuff, right? So essentially developing, as I was mentioning, right? Elasticsearch, real-time, log aggregation, Elasticsearch, they will analyze using Kibana. They'll build dashboard on Kibana, right? Again, depends upon company to company, how much they are willing to spend, how much resources they have. Yeah. We have Brijesh Kant here says, I have learned Elasticsearch SEIM platform and currently looking for a job in that particular part. Do you have any suggestions? I mean, well, I would just say, start applying and start reaching out people on LinkedIn, right? I think that's the best way. And if I come across any elk work, I'll definitely let you know, Brijesh. Yeah. So Emmanuel says, so all the web services on the internet is a cloud service. Well, sort of, you can think of like that, right? I mean, yeah. Anirudh says to Rushikesh, if you don't want to do it on network level, maybe you can have a Nginx rule. Oh yeah, that's a good idea too. Yeah, an Nginx and then have a rule in that. That's a pretty good idea as well. I like it. Manish says, how many times you speak essentially in a day? Probably essentially a lot of time. So just kidding, man. Emmanuel says, what did you think about Spring Framework Boot and others? To be honest, I'm more a Python and a cloud guy. I'm not into Java. I believe Spring and all that comes in Java. I'm not into that domain at all. My domain is pretty just on Python. Anything related to Python, I know, and cloud. So the answer is no. I don't know. Vivek says, yep, you got it. Thank you. That makes sense. 2 days before, I just watched your ILTS videos and I can see a lot of improvements. Thank you so much. I think Rushikesh, you should contact Anirudh. Seems like he's a pretty good at cloud, so I think he could give you some high-level advices on your cloud projects, right? So that is what this YouTube is about, right? Network with each other, share your email address in the chat box, contact each other, and then stay connected as a friend, or just share your LinkedIn IDs, connect each other on LinkedIn. Yeah. Ruchikesh says, Anirudh, I will try to use a valid reference rule in Nginx conf. Maybe that will work. You know, yeah. Just feel free to share your LinkedIn profiles, guys. Ruchikesh and Anirudh. Do you write Bash scripts for fun? Uh, has been a long time, but I used to, but not anymore. Wow, there has been so many questions today. My God. All right, but it's fun. A lot of questions. I like it. Any other cloud questions? Any other thing that you want to ask, talk? Uh, you know, anything that you want to discuss? Happy to talk about. Ideally, that wouldn't happen. AWS can never be down. They have several regions and several zones. So, in theory, that's near to impossible that AWS can go down. And even if it goes down, AWS replicates your data in other region and other zones. So, you are okay with that. So, don't worry. Okay, we have hello world here. Let's read the question. One correction, Somil. You suggested that we should use auto offset reset is equal to true. Auto offset reset is equal to true to stop the loss of messages in a consumer, and repeatedly asked to keep enable that, but it's a default feature, buddy. Okay, thank you so much for that suggestion. I think you're referring to the Kafka series, right? Has been a while I have touched that. I'm going like beginner, level. So yeah, but thank you so much for your suggestion. Vivek says, I think if you are using EC2, that's in the subnet, you can whitelist the IP address using NACL. Okay, that's good. Shubham says, I have done my MSc in mathematics. I want to do data science field. Any suggestions? Well, start learning Python, man. That's something I would recommend. Uh, Pandas, scikit-learn, all the machine learning models, um, semantic search, vectors, all these similarity. So I think all those stuff you gotta start exploring, because data science is all about that. So oh, don't worry. India calling is free for me, Manish. So don't worry. I have my India calling is free for me. Emmanuel says, do you set a reminder so that you don't forget the food you are cooking on fire? No, no, no. Because when I'm cooking, I'm always in the kitchen, right? I don't set reminders. So I'm in the kitchen, so I watch the food, right? So I don't need to set a reminder usually. Roshan says, "Oh, I'm late." Nope, you are not late. You haven't missed anything. I would say. All right, Manish. It was nice talking to you. Goodbye. See you soon, man. No, I don't use R, and I don't want to use R because I know Python, right? So I wouldn't use R, to be honest. Emmanuel says, "What do you think about Internet of Things?" I think it is a great. It's a great topic. A lot of scope there, right? But again, you want to learn the industry standard way, not the old school way. The people are moving for IoT on the cloud, so learn AWS IoT, Greengrass, etc., etc. So I would still, again, anything. The answer is cloud. So yeah. Roshan says, how can I remove a foreign key constraint from a table? Um, what table? I mean, I don't know the details, so I'm not sure I will be able to answer that. Oh, this one, it's a specially glass meant for computer screen, so it has like a UV, whatever that is. I don't know the right word, but it will essentially, at least I would say, protect the eyes. So it's meant for computers. Yeah. Vivek says, have you ever used Apache Airflow? If so, do you know the use cases for this tool? Great. I actually was contacted by the sales representative a couple of weeks back by Apache Airflow, and they were trying to sell me I was like, look, man, we developed our own Apache Airflow, which is much more better, much more faster, much more resilient, much more scalable. Again, that is called AWS batch framework. It allows you to scale or schedule jobs, right? Again, Airflow is essentially to build pipelines, right? Which essentially you wanna process data, schedule the job. So it's basically for that use only. But as I said, I don't see anything that you cannot do on AWS. You can schedule jobs on Lambda. You can schedule workflow on step functions. You can schedule jobs on AWS Batch, run thousands of jobs, right? So I would always be in an AWS ecosystem. So yeah. I dropped a link in a chat, but not showing on your chat. Maybe YouTube is filtering out that link, maybe because of potentially harm item. Not sure, Roshan. Let's see. Roshan says PlanetScale.com don't support foreign key, but models not designed with foreign key. How can I convert? No, again, I'm not sure. I understand PlanetScale.com not support. Sorry, Roshan, man. I'm not sure. I'm following, man. Yeah, looks like some SQL questions. Maybe try to put on a Stack Overflow to get a better, quicker answer, right? I'm not sure I follow your question. A foreign key, but yeah. All right, I'll stay for 5 more minutes and try to answer a few more questions and then wrap up today's Q&A. And we'll see you in the next week. Do you watch any Indian YouTube? I mean, I watch in general YouTube. I don't care whether it's Indian or Pakistan or whatever that is, right? In general, I just watch YouTube. To me, YouTube is just for learning, right? It doesn't matter Indian, Pakistan, this, that, right? So in general, YouTube, yeah. Manish says, what if a company, what is this company related? What if a company deleted the data on S3? Is there a way to get that? Yeah, of course. There is something called object logs. Even if you delete, you can recover your object back. And versions, right? Setting up versions. So, and also usually company will set up a cross-region replication on S3 bucket, which means as soon as the data lands on one bucket, this is automatically replicated in a different region for governance purposes, right? So, I mean, there are ways, you know what I mean. Vivek Datta says, cool. I have used AWS Event Bridge to schedule jobs that actually trigger Lambda and haven't used AWS Batch, but I know that batch jobs per purposes. I didn't know that Apache Airflow is used. Yeah, I mean, it's a scheduler, right? So, little bit background. Couple of years back, my project, we were looking for, I presented the first solution was Airflow to essentially do jobs. But just because of the scheduler is not robust, we essentially wanted to be highly available, scalable. We designed our own Airflow, right? So the way this works is, again, as I said, right, you can read the entire article on my, I'll try to share quickly. Let me see. So I'll show you our version of Airflow, okay? Here, this one. So the way this works is, again, it's highly scalable, durable, faster, scale up to terabyte scale. I'll show you the architecture. This is the amount of data we processed, 930 gigabytes. So what I want to show you is this architecture. So there's an API which is running on an ECS. The user can essentially schedule jobs. They can create a job. So what happens is basically, again, on a high level, say I want to schedule this job, right? We built up this is our own internal tool that we built, right? So basically we say we want to schedule job number 6. We provide a schedule, a state, enable, disable, and the ID, right? So what this does is basically this will essentially create a schedule on Event Bridge. So we built all this stuff by ourselves, right? So basically now you can schedule jobs. This basically will fire up a Lambda, right? So every job will fire up a Lambda function. And what Lambda will do is it will pull up the information from SQL, such as where is the code saved on S3, the template, right? So it's gonna download the template at runtime. So I'll show you here. So this is the metadata, right? So essentially, for example, job 8, test job, right? Job description, job name, schedule, S3 folder, right? Where the code is stored, right? The secrets, all this information. So it's gonna pull that Again, there's an ability to also specify how much RAM, how much CPU you need. So based on that, what this will do is this Lambda will read the metadata and will pass it to the batch job. Now, this will essentially spin up a container with all the resources that you asked for. Let's say you need, let's say 128 GB of RAM and 52 or 60 cores, right? So it will essentially spin up your environment, and essentially it will pull up your repository and it will run the code, So this is our own version of Airflow. All the logs are on the CloudWatch, Datadog, and also on S3. So if you want to go historical logs, you can go back and essentially see the logs. Here you can see every time a job run, it creates a process. So you essentially, it gives you a start date, end date. It tells you whether a job was successful, failed. So we have all this metadata, right? So essentially, as you can see, the log file, this is our own version of Airflow, right? This again, as you can see here, it's Datadog, how many jobs we ran, the logs, 21,000 logs, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, so this is our version of Airflow, Vivek Datta, as you asked, right? So we process, today we are running like 1500 jobs on that. So this is my own version of Airflow, as I said, right? Hope that helps. Vivekanand Bopati says, as a mid-level data engineer searching for a job, do you think it is the best use of the time for me to develop deeper knowledge in the technologies or grinding? It's a tricky question, Vivekanand Bopatya. So I don't want to comment too much on this topic, but I do know that Indian companies strictly judge you based on certification and your lead code, and not based on your knowledge that you have. The reason I say that is a lot of my friends, they were rejected from the job just because they didn't qualify for a criteria of 10th and 12th, whatever XYZ, right? So again, I don't want to give you wrong advices, but if you're in India, I think the answer is lead code and developing connection, because they will essentially first judge you and filter out basically based on your lead code stuff. If you don't qualify, they're going to filter you out, right? Then comes the knowledge part. So you need technically both. It's hard to answer for me this question again, as I said. Manish says, is there a snapshot feature in S3? Snapshot. Well, you can back up, you can do a replication. I'm not sure if that's something you refer to. Anirudh says to Paresh, you can use AWS backup service, which can back up the bucket daily. But Anirudh, why you even want to do that? You have something called bucket replication rule, right? So technically you want to replicate your object as and when it's inserted, right? So I would theory do that. Not sure why would you use a backup service. Again, that's my perspective, because in my company I use AWS S3 cross-region replication. So we replicate the data across a different region as soon as we insert it, right? Vivek says, thank you. That's amazing. Vivek says, can you share the link? Yep, I sure can. There you go, Vivek. I shared the link in the description. Rushikesh Kadam says, in Elasticsearch, I am facing GEIOP error. I search, it is some type of memory error. It is right. Did you face this type of error? I have to Google it, and then I would be able to tell you a little bit more about GEIOP error. Yeah. Hello World says, Apache Airflow is just much more than a scheduler. It has a lot other functionality used for automation, automation, and even you can run AWS stuff using Airflow. Yeah, but why wouldn't you be able to run using the batch framework that I talked about, right? It's our custom thing that we developed, internal tool, right? So, I mean, all the things that you mentioned, we could do that on cloud, right? Again, if you, again, I don't see a reason why you wouldn't be able to do all that stuff, right? I would, again, depends upon the use case and the company and how much amount they're willing to spend for and the resources. But to me, all you're doing is building pipelines, right? I would rather build all those stuff on Amazon using SQS, Lambda, so I can scale up horizontally. Kinesis, Firehose, right? AWS has all solutions that you need to build for your modern data, right? So again, I would stick with the AWS ecosystem because they help you to scale up easily. SNS topic for alerts, right? So you could build all that stuff that you want, right? You have the components, you know. Vivek Datta says, thanks a lot. Good day ahead, Saumil. Thank you, Vivek. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, I think it has been more than an hour. I'll take one last question if you guys have any, and we will wrap up today's Q&A. Let me just check my email if anybody did send me an email. Okay, perfect. All right, we have Brajesh saying GEOIP is a plugin that you can work on geo point field by using an IP address. No, I think he was referring to the Elasticsearch, maybe some memory errors he had. I'm not sure if he was referring to plugin. If Rishikesh can tell a little bit more about that, I'm not sure. Do you come live every Sunday at the same time? I try, there's no like a set time, but I try to come Sunday, probably around morning this time. US time is usually around 8:30 to 11 o'clock US time. I think India time would be 7, 6, 5 p.m. in the evening to 7, 8 p.m. That's the time. But usually this time, that's right. All right. Any last question that I can take for the day? One last question I would be able to take. I guess I'm gonna wrap up today now. Need to start cooking food today, man. Tomorrow is Monday, so gotta prepare food in advance for tomorrow and day after tomorrow. Takes a lot of time, man. All right, guys, I'll take one or two more questions if you have any, and then I'll end the live stream, of course. Not sure what chicken. How big is your VV? What? Not sure. I understand. I would mark that as a spam. So there you go. I'll take one more questions if possible. Looks like it's a spam, so I'm gonna try to mark this guy as a spam. Not sure why. Just gonna click on remove. Is there a way I could spam? Hide the user on the channel. There you go. All right. Looks like you know you'll always have spammers always on the channel, right? So let's put you hide. All right, guys. If you have any other questions that I can answer, one genuine question that you guys have, more than happy to answer, right? I'll take one or two questions at the last, right? If you have any. All right, if you guys have any questions that you want to ask, one last question that I can take for today, and we will end today's Q&A session. You know, but yeah, it was really fun. We talked a lot about AWS. We talked about some of the services, some of the tools. You know, so yeah, we have actually a question from Vivek, so we'll try to answer that. So if I have a worker and say the worker requires data from Redis instance, do I need to use a WebSocket? Do I need to use WebSocket to send the data to the worker? Do I need to? So I'm assuming, Vivek, you are referring to Celery, right? If I'm not wrong, because the way you said, I think you're referring to Celery. So Celery uses a Redis worker, and your workers would be on EC2. Am I right, Vivek? I'm assuming I won't be using AWS services. Yes, that case, the way you asked your question, I did understood. It is essentially Celery, right? So you're saying, where, when you put a request, and your answer also is correct. Your workers are gonna take the request from the Redis. The Redis will now act as a queuing service, right? Uh, Vivek says, say the flow is Redis, worker, and Postgres. Yes, Vivek. I think you are referring to Celery. Pretty sure the way you said. So, yeah, you could do that if you don't want to use AWS. Yeah, you could spin up a Celery, Redis, and all that stuff, and essentially have the workers, do the job that you have to do in Postgres, right? Is that what your question was, Vivek? Just making sure. I think Vivek is referring to, okay, how would you, or maybe you're trying to, is that right what you're saying, right? You want to develop a worker using in Python, right? Using Celery, using some sort of a Redis as a queue, right? If that is your question, Vivek, I have some tutorials on Redis, on Celery basically. So my worker is a Node.js service. So your worker is a Node.js service. So how would I make a pull-based service? How would I make a pull-based service? So it can pull the data from Redis. So it can pull the data from Redis. Well, Vivek, I think. So what is your queuing service, Vivek? First of all, what is your queue service, right? When you say worker, right? When you use the word pull, right? That means your producer gonna produce messages, and they are essentially gonna land in a queue. So what is your queuing service here? Is your Redis gonna act as a queue, or is it where you need to pull the data from? So if you could answer that, because if you want to develop a pull based model, I think, and again, if you want to use Python, you have something called Celery, right? Again, I would still recommend using SQS and Lambda, because cloud and all this, you can scale pretty fast, right? But again, if you want to develop a pull based mechanism, again, you need a queuing service, right? And then you need the workers that would essentially, or a job that would constantly look for messages, and then if there's messages, they're gonna pull it, right? Vivek says, say I am just syncing the data from Redis to Postgres, and I am using a worker service. Vivek, not sure I fully follow. Not sure even if that's the best way to do that. I'm not sure why even you would do that, right? Ideally, Vivek, you would have a wrapper class, right? So first you will check. So let's say when you want to insert data, right? So first you will insert it into the Redis, and then you will insert into Postgres, right? And when you want to read data, so first you will basically check on the Redis if you have a data. If you don't have data, make a database call, get the data, update the cache, and then return to the user, right? So not sure why would you need that service to sync data from Redis to Postgres. Ideally, basically you're saying that you have a cache mechanism, right? So why would you need to sync that? If you could explain me a little bit. Not sure I understand the use case, or I follow the use case here. If the job or the role is more to develop a pull-based mechanism, right? Celery, if you just want to stick with Python, Celery would work. If you want to go with cloud, SQS, Lambda, one of the best stack ever, right? If you want to fan out, SNS, SQS, Lambda, right? Fan out models. So I'm not sure if you would be able to explain me use case, I might be able to better answer or serve your questions. Yeah, so I'll be here for like a couple of more minutes. If you have questions, please do post your questions in the comment section below, okay? Vivek says, yeah, even I'm not aware about the use case, but I just wanted to know how to create a worker service. Yeah, ideally you wouldn't create one. You would use a framework that already exists, right? If it's Python, as I said, right, Celery. If not, if you just want to do like based on the request, a thread would simply work fine. A simple way is threads. The next way is creating a process. The next way is essentially having a dedicated workers, right? And if you want to go on cloud, SQS Lambda, same thing, right? All right, I think I have answered everybody's question here, and it was really nice talking to everybody. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in today. I'll try to come. The next live session would be try my best to do Sunday, same time. And if I haven't answered any of your questions, you can write me an email. And with that being said, keep smiling, keep programming. Knowledge is power, and see you guys